Okay, we're recording. This is on. This is live. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in. We're excited for today's webinar. I have the honor, the distinguished honor of having two wonderful guests, people that I know, that I've gotten to know even closer over the last couple of months. In fact, it's funny, I was thinking, Jeremy, we met briefly at a promotional product show about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, but we stayed in touch through LinkedIn. And of course, Adrienne, we've stayed in touch. We've met over the course of the years at different shows and whatnot. So I'm just excited for the topic because you guys get to be the experts. I get to ask some questions and I get to learn from both of you. So I have on my left, I don't know how this is going to view for everybody, but I have Jeremy Picker and I have Adrienne Palmer, and I'm going to go with ladies first. So Adrienne, I have a slide to share that is all about you. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this is.
This is your LinkedIn profile. So I figured this would be pretty safe and I wouldn't get too, carried away. I love the fact that you have a pattern and some wall coverings in the background because of your connection with Big Picture and screen print magazines. But you're a pretty big deal, Adrienne Palmer. You're the editor-in-chief of Screen Printing Magazine. So welcome. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I need a sign that says that. Pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal.
All times. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Editor-in-chief of screen printing for the last 2 years and been involved with Big Picture, our sister publication in the wide format space for more than 8 years now.
Awesome. That's been fabulous to get to know you and see you at shows. And I know you guys have recently gone through a transition with Screen Printing Magazine a little bit. I have to tell you, I love the digital version. I'm a big fan. And you know what's interesting is I didn't used to say that. I used to love having the magazine. And, but that's okay. I am now converted and I love it. So good on you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I joined about 2 years ago at this time. And since then, we've launched a redesign that is completely digital. We have a brand new dynamic website. We launched a podcast last week. We just launched a mentorship program. We launched the Women in Screen Printing Awards last year. So a lot of—
Would you slow down? I'm just feeling anxiety going up with all of these things you're launching.
It's exciting to me. It shouldn't be anxiety.
It is exciting.
So I just feel like we're doing a lot and it's all for the audience that we serve. So I'm glad to hear that you both like the digital edition.
Well, we do. And we encourage all of our listeners, anybody that's going to watch this live or after the fact, because as you know, we post everything on our YouTube channel, to check you out, say hi on your LinkedIn page, and also to follow you. And I would highly recommend you follow Screen Printing Magazine. And I want to tell you something that I haven't told anybody else, Adrienne. It was a point of pride in our office that 2 years ago, it was at the Printing United show when it first became Printing United, and we were all in Dallas, Texas, that just before, the month before that, we made the cover of Screen Printing Magazine with a Converse tennis shoe that we DTG printed, and it was on the cover, and it was so awesome. We were all thrilled. We were like, we wanted to go around and say, anybody want to sign copies? Anybody want to sign copies? That was us. We did that. So it's kind of a big deal.
Oh yeah, and you can find that on our website in the digital edition archive. So everyone can go check that out. It's a really cool cover and the shoes are really neat.
It's a cool cover, and it's one of the things I respect about your approach, you and your staff, is that you moved into other areas besides screen printing, which will always be the foundation of the magazine, but that you recognize there are other decorating techniques and that we can learn from each other. So kudos to you and your team and the editorial and the direction you're going. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, our other guest, the one and the only Jeremy Picker. Jeremy, guess what? I've got the same thing for you. So I'm going to share your, so that I'm fair, right? I have to share the one, the man, the myth, the legend, the creative director. Look at that profile, man. That's like a powerhouse profile, Jeremy.
All Photoshop.
It's all Photoshop. You look 10 years younger. No,
Thank you.
I love it. You are creative. I recognize it in everything that you do. So glad that you could join us, because I know few people that have their fingers on the pulse of fashion, of design, of production, of graphics, the whole thing, color, style, the trends. And so when we had Adrienne on, Adrienne, by the way, you need to add to your LinkedIn profile that you were a past speaker at the DTG Training Academy, because that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But Adrienne, I know that she was also checking in with you for some of the content that we shared on our past training sessions. So that's really why we're here today, guys, is that was, by the way, and is right now the second most popular track. So Adrienne, you can share that with everybody. We're seeing a lot of people on YouTube watching that particular session, which led me to want to kind of dive deeper, which is why we're here today, is to say, okay, I've got experts. Jeremy Picker's here, Adrienne Palmer's here. We're going to talk a little bit more about trends, design techniques, color, style. It all crosses over. It's a big pot of fun. And to have the two of you on it, I'm giddy. I'm like excited. Let's do this. So I also loved, Adrienne, the fact that in our session on the DTG Training Academy, you shared some amazing statistics, some amazing information, powerful for all of those who are tuned in and are DTG printers. That it really caught my ear. And maybe we should start there. Maybe you could cover a few of those bits of information, some things that you have, and let's start with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I am really glad that we're on here together, because I was pulling a lot of trend inspiration and apparel trends from Jeremy. So I'm glad that you now hear directly from him. Probably gonna be better than from me. But so we talked a lot about customization and personalization during the last webinar, and we know that that's become increasingly popular throughout the print industry, specifically thanks to the rise of e-commerce. And if you enter the pandemic, there's no longer a want, but a need for online shopping, as brick and mortar stores just shut down around the globe. Let's face it, brick and mortar retail shops were already having to find ways to adapt thanks to things like, the Amazon effect. And this is where direct to garment comes in. Digital printing allows PSPs to fulfill this customization and personalization demand with the help of web to print automation technologies. And DTG screen printers can now print any quantity order with highly detailed full color designs at a cheaper price, which is good, in a shorter time, even better. So I'll share some things from Keypoint Intelligence. We partner, screen printing partners with them. And from their recent report, they are saying that direct-to-garment print volumes are expected to recover to pre-pandemic levels and beyond by the end of this year. It's a really good sign. And they're saying this is directly fueled by the surge of online shopping, which allows for that personalization, the various product assortments, just-in-time manufacturing. So if you don't have an online store or a web presence, now is definitely the time to build one.
Now's the time to jump in. Your evidence is in. The jury has come back. I love that statistic. That blew me away the first time you shared it with me. I was like, okay, we need to shout that from the rooftops.
Yeah, I shared it with Keypoint that I mentioned that. They were like, or they were curious, what points did you share? And I said that, and I said it got a lot of good reactions, because it's a good thing. We've heard so many negatives this last year, and we've seen shops go out of business and, profits dwindle, but there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's a good light. It's a DTG light, but it's also, I think, it's not just DTG. Obviously, at Equipment Zone, we tend to look through those lenses quite honestly most of the time, maybe as high as 75-80% of the time. But the truth is that the rising tide raises all ships. And I think that a lot of people are seeing the underlying foundation to what you said, which is the on-demand printing and the e-commerce. That what we just went through the last year was like what would have happened. I'm guessing, who am I to say this, but I think it's what would have naturally occurred over the course of the next 5 years. It just got compressed into about 9 months, so for what it's worth. I don't know if Jeremy, if you've seen any of that, and I've said, seen it from your side of the street as well.
Yeah, and I think with probably your audience being a little newer to like my content, just a quick background, and Jay has seen this in some of my content, that I've kind of always been anti-DTG. I didn't necessarily like the quality, and again, it's ignorance, and with COVID, I started diving in, but I was really, I'm a screen print snob, but one of my goals is how can I help people make better merchandise? And with the whole thing COVID and it shut our business down, you know, I was almost forced by the world that I need to start learning other ways to fulfill that mission. So, you know, DTG print on demand, you know, I kind of instantly.
You instantly froze for a second. That's funny. Come back to us, Jeremy. You're coming back. Come on, Denver. You got this.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There you are. You're
see
with
me
us.
now? You hear me?
Yep. Keep going. You're
Sorry
good.
about that. Yeah, so I wanted to figure out ways to help my customers because they weren't ordering t-shirts, you know, in volume anymore. And so, you know, I'm definitely seeing that value of web store, print on demand, you know, hands off. A lot of my customers started opening up, you know, to that model just to get shirts out there. So, you know, for me, I'm still pretty new into the education of DTG, but I'm really trying to dive in because I want not only to help my customers, I want to help our industry look at other ways, you know, to keep the lights on, to keep, even if the volume with screen print's not coming, you know, have another alternative or collaborate with someone local. And that's what I do. You know, I have another DTG, you know, house here in Colorado that I'll just send all that kind of business to, you know, and really help so I can offer anything really. And so I'm seeing that benefit and that flexibility that you can with, you know, DTG and obviously having other processes, embroidery, but specifically, I'm seeing that huge uptick.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Is actually predicting that more retailers and brands are going to adopt DTG, like you mentioned. And I mean, I think it's because there's just a lot of reasons, but I mean, direct-to-consumer product testing, so you can do real-time trend analysis, which we're obviously going to be talking about trends here. And then what I think is cool is you can kind of test those graphics online. And, you know, you don't actually have to create and hold inventory. If something doesn't sell, oh, well, we now have boxes and boxes of that product, not anymore. And then to kind of get back to that mass customization, it allows printers to compete with even larger retailers. So for yourself, you know, you can be a competition to maybe like an Amazon merch or something like that.
Yeah, that's huge. That flexibility. I love that keyword, Jeremy, flexibility and being nimble. So I think it gives the quote small guy, small gal, a real fighting chance because they can be quicker to market. Like Adrienne said, they can do testing, they can do all kinds of trend analysis faster. So print on demand, DTG, I drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago. And Jeremy, I'm happy to hear you starting to warm up to it. Not that you were ever against it. You said you were anti it. I know what you mean because I was you 16 years ago. I was the print snob. I was all in on screen printing. I wanted that opacity. I wanted all of that texture. And I didn't see it in the beginning. But now I'm lucky that I'm surrounded with a great team at Equipment Zone. And we've been able to see in the last 10 years, for sure, a significant change in the technology, the ink chemistry, what's possible. And get this, all of the shirt and apparel manufacturers are now actually recognizing and building platforms, specific garments for DTG printing, because they see that trend is moving forward. So it's not just what I say. Listen to what Hanes is doing. Listen to what Fruit's doing. Listen to what Cotton Heritage and others, and we can name a bunch. Sanmar, I know, is in the middle of R&D on lots of stuff, and they keep having us test their prints. You know, try this shirt. Is it print okay? And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we'll tell you more later. So it's fun to see the industry growing, and I think that all of our customers should feel excited that they're in the right lane at the right time. And now we need to kind of transition. But before we do, Adrienne, was there any other note that you wanted to share? I know you had some other gems to give us.
This is more a little bit into the trends. You know, where are you finding the trends? So you kind of now have the data behind DTG, and you know your customers are looking for something unique. You know, but where can you find that trend inspiration? And in our last meeting, I shared results of the poll we sent to our audience, and in February. We sent it out again to get an update for today. So where are you finding your trend inspiration? And previously, 60% of respondents said they looked to Pinterest for design trends. And I know Jeremy is going to talk a little bit about that. It's still at the top spot at 43%, but industry publications is now at 29%. And then customer requests and personal style are following shortly behind.
That's
So
good.
just an update to that.
That's
poll.
good. Yeah, no, that's great insight. Good info, whether it's Pinterest or whether it's an industry trade publication. First of all, we all know that we can find inspiration from almost any source. How we apply that, whether it's timely and whether it fits our audience, those are factors that are going to always, who am I serving and what? So I might have a style, but I have to check that at the door. I know some of you are thinking, wait, what? Jay has style? But I have to check that at the door to really follow through on what it is that my client's trying to accomplish and who is their audience so that they can be the hero in their story and I'm there to support them, which, by the way, is a jumping off point for Jeremy. Why I've gotten to know him and been so impressed with the work is because that's what he's about. That's why he's investigating all of this. That's why I've seen you, Jeremy, in all of the podcasts and the different places that I've seen you recently, and giving of yourself and giving of the value and the training and the wisdom. So it's because you are trying to better your game to be a better resource for your audience. So I'm not wearing my super cool fashionable hat today, but if I were, I would tip my cap and say, good on you, brother.
Thanks, man. And
you're welcome.
Just real quick, can I just, what
Please
Adrienne said is you have your Pinterest, you have your inspiration, and then you get customer requests. Well, if you're staying up with the trends, when a customer comes to you with that request, you can say, yes, I can do that. Otherwise, if you wait too long and it's the customer trend, because trends are turning quickly, they're going to go to someone else who can service them. So it's in everyone's best interest to at least be aware of them, whether it's your taste or not. Being aware of the trends, knowing social media, seeing what street style is doing, then it allows you to say, well, how can I utilize my production methods or resources to help people create this product? Because if one is asking, there's probably going to be 10 behind it that is 100%. Slowly catching on. So I think that if you can start early and stay with it, then when someone asks, then you can always say yes, and you don't have to turn them away.
We are all in agreement, and I love that. That's also what we're going to focus on next, is getting into those places and sharing some of that. So well said, Jeremy. Thank you for adding that. I want to kick this off with showing you guys what I used to do, and meaning in a distant land and a distant time far, far away, I also had to be up on trends. I also had to find what people were really, what was current at a retail level. So I used to go quarterly, and I had a list of about 18 or 20 different major retail brands. And I would say, okay, what are they doing? What's at the top of the page? Is there anything different? Is there any color scheme that's changed? Is there anything that's new? And I would start to filter through this, and I would make a page. And I did this because in my world at the time, most of the people that were buying content, which was specifically graphics and templates for apparel and for promotional products and signage, et cetera, they needed to know that any content that they were getting was current, because the last thing you want to do is buy a collection of content and realize it's 10 years old. And even if you're trying to spin it as vintage, if it's old, it's old. So this was just a quick view. I literally, in preparation to our meeting, I ran over to Adidas, which is where I used to always go, and see what was cool, what was different, and what was trending. I love the fact that they're working with Her Studio out of London, that they've designed some new inspiring tropics. This is currently merch that's for sale, and it never fails. I always get excited when I see that treatment of the Adidas logo, and whether you want to call it a cutout, a power clip, photoshopped, masked, there's all kinds of terms that people will use to describe what's happening there, is they have the traditional logo, but inside the logo, rather than a solid color, there's a pattern or some sort of texture. And in this case, it's floral. And the flower design is apparently powerful. And I also used to highlight and copy the text so that I knew how Adidas was trying to describe this. So if they were using keywords, like maybe they used bloom, full bloom, vivid, or maybe they used tropical, or they said flower, or potentially they were talking about empowerment, or they were talking about women's issues. And so whether it's an animal print or flower print, if Adidas is doing it, folks, you gotta wake up, pay attention, put this And Jeremy, this is funny because this was pre-Pinterest. I was building my own boards and I didn't even know it. So I thought that you guys would be interested to see way back in the day. I get in the Wayback Machine. I can tell you that I had to figure this stuff out on my own and find these trends and then be able to say, okay, now how can our audience, how does this apply to our audience? And that's always the takeaway. But I just wanted to kick it off with that and give you a little share my page so that you could see that, and then bring you two back into this and say, maybe we'll start with Adrienne, or maybe we'll start with Jeremy, wherever you want to go. This is where we're freestyling here. Is now what? What do we do? How do we do this? How do we know what's trending? How do we know what's on style? How do we know? Is it graffiti style? Is it all over sprays? Are we still stuck in tie-dye land? I mean, why don't you two take it over? I'll do less talking and let you do more talking. Tell me about that shirt, Jeremy. Let's start there. You pointed to it.
Yeah. So every year, almost every year, but I have my designer design a t-shirt for my 5-year-old now. And so the last 3 years we had t-shirts that we made for everyone that came to his birthday party. Well, this year we didn't have a birthday party, and I've just been super busy, and I haven't been a good father and forecasted. And so
hey, no guilt trips. Leave that to the side.
All right. And so on Thursday was his birthday. In the morning, I had my designer, I put a little mood board together of styles, ninjas, things that he liked, put a mood board together, gave it to my art director. And within 6 hours, we went from concept to the t-shirt in my hand for the party, all with DTG. And so I just threw this in there because I had extras, but that was a real life experience for me to now I can use it to say, listen, one of the benefits, even though I'm sure manufacturers cringe, they don't want that pressure, it's still possible to quick turn. If you come through someone, they just came up with it tonight and they have an event, or today and they have an event tonight, you can come through and you're the hero in that one DTG shirt, even though that's not the big money maker, that could open you up to a lot more business or recommendations, of people saying, man, the customer service was great. They got me shirts within 6 hours, and now I'm praising, they're just 18, 19-year-old kids that have their own DTG printer. And so, being able to have that speed to market is just crazy to me when, again, this was an original design that he built from scratch basically. And it was in my hands before the party at dinner time.
Such a great story, powerful story that you'll forever be able to tell. But truth be told, I don't want to get too far down this road, but that's a real business example, Jeremy, is that happens all the time, whether it's at a trade show, and yes, kids, we will go back eventually to trade shows, but business meetings in general, business to business. So I know it's a birthday party, but I can't tell you how many times I've been at an event where somebody's like, oh crap, FedEx didn't deliver. It's not going to get here on time. Now what? And 12 of us are standing around in our old sweaty t-shirts. It's like, who do we know? Who do we, we're in Orlando. There's got to be somebody with a DTG printer. Let's get busy. So it's a real world application too. I love that you brought that up. And it's a kick-ass design, by the way. So Thanks. There's always that. And it's on a tie-dye, by the way. Don't think I didn't notice that.
It's not going anywhere, at least for this year. It's still everywhere.
So as I look at a couple of the notes, if you see me look away, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not being distracted. Okay. I'm trying to actually stay on topic. Talking about screen printing and talking about DTG printing and talking about any of these treatments, Jeremy, how do you get started? Like what you mentioned something that was cool, was a mood board. I've never had a mood board. Apparently I did. I didn't know it was called that. But is that kind of your process? Can you kind of peel back the curtain and tell us a little bit about how you might find some of those inspirations that Adrienne was talking about earlier, or find some of those trends?
Yeah. And, it's a little different for me just because like my hobby is like trend research, but a way to kind of bring it down for people that might not have in-house creative, that might not have, a sense of what's going on in the fashion world, is you don't have to know it. You just have to go to the right places. And so being able to know your audience. So that's a great start of, who's my demographic. You know, I'm sure you have a variety of customers, but you probably have a core 1 or 2 industries that you're servicing. That's a great place to start. And so for me, I'm using Pinterest, I'm using, you know, magazines. All these books are actually archives of products. So like this is Nikes from the last 30 years. And so, you know, I'm spending $200 on this book, but they've already done all the work. They've done all the curation. So now, like I have Scottish Estate tweeds. If I have a preppy forward design, a collegiate design, I know where to go for inspiration. So again, it's knowing where to go. You don't have to know what is cool. You just have to know where to go for people that have already done the work for you. So before we even get to a creative design, I make sure that we're on the visual same page. What you think is cool, Jay, what you think is cool, Adrienne, and what our audiences thinks is cool, going to be completely different. So we take, all right, here's the core, the text of the ideas of what you want, but let's pair it with visual, because even if you're not a creative person, you can say, yes, I like that. No, I like that. I don't like that. And that's how we have refined our design process to say, let's not use these fluffy words like edgy and you know, classic. Those things don't mean anything when it comes to design. So how can we get specific to say, you know, are you action sports? Are you, you know, more organic abstract? Are you, you know, streetwear? And so dialing into those little kind of silos is going to help you stay on those trends. And knowing a lot of people don't have graphic departments in-house, it's in your best interest to help your customer before they even get to that design process.
Amen. Amen. That's such a powerful point you just made. I love it. Even if you're not, I'm going to repeat it because it was powerful. Even if you're not a graphic designer, which I got to tell you, most of our owners who get started, they're not graphic designers. They weren't classically trained. At best, they're watch a quick YouTube video or call up Dane Clement and say, Dane, what are your Photoshop tips and tricks I need to know? Or, you know, so the fact of the matter is, even before you get to that, and I used to describe it this way, and Adrienne, at any time jump in, by the way, it doesn't need to be the two guys rambling. We just get excited. I want to dominate this conversation. But I used to explain it this way. We all like music. Most people can relate to that. Everybody has a couple of stations on their car that are pre-programmed. Tell me what yours are, Jeremy. And you'd go, okay, well, I got the news station here. I got rock here. I got whatever. So if you can just at least help people realize that they do have some preferences, as will their audience. Are they country music? No, can't stand it. Are they rap? No, don't like it. Well, what are those preferences? Let's get that out. And like you said, let's do it visually. Love it.
Yeah.
A great resource is in a recent issue of Screen Printing, where Jeremy actually goes from concept to print, and the shirt behind him, the Denver shirt, is what he prints. And that was the first time I really talked to him about the mood board, and there are pictures of your mood board there, and really just going through that process and the importance of talking to your customer.
What issue was that in, Adrienne, so people can be sure to circle back? And do you remember? Of course, I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
The spot. It was last year, and
okay. Well, you
find it September. I'll find out for you.
Okay. What did you say? December? October?
No, I want to say September, but I will confirm.
Okay. Well, we'll add it to the end of the notes if you find it. If not, just it'll force everybody to go back and look at all the copies. But
to find the shoe, the DTG shoe.
There you go, the famous shoe. That was so fun. Okay, so Jeremy, what next? So where would you go? What would you do?
Yeah, so you know, for the majority of people, like you said, having a country style little trend report or a mood board, you know, it could be a one pager of just styles that fit, whether it's Western or country music, having that already there, because when that customer comes, you're able to give that to them. But on being proactive and not just waiting for that order, you can really help get your customers' wheels turning, their creative department. You know, they might be doing business cards and web all day. If they get a chance to do some cool creative work for apparel, most designers are going to jump at that. So you can now get into the process to make sure that they're producing shirts that are going to be more retail worthy. Again, it's in the eye of the beholder, but if you can spur that on, you're going to dictate more reorders. You're going to help them increase their volume. And so that's been a big part of, well, if you don't design, I'm just going to wait for that order to come. Well, it's in your best interest to help them make the best shirt possible. And the more you get in on the early side, the more loyalty they're going to have to you, because you're not just becoming a supplier for them. You're becoming that partner that helps them. Oh, I saw this shirt the other day. I think this would do really, even if it doesn't, even if they like it, we're seeing that you're thinking about them constantly. And so that's a big, big part in using what's selling in retail. You know, there's trend and there's trendy. You know, fidget spinners are trendy, but trends, the fashion world is dictating them. You can go to all the way down to Target or even a convenience store that is selling apparel. You can see the fashion world influencing all of that interior design, you know, definitely. A lot of wallpapers, a lot of the things that you were talking about, you know, the wide format. And so seeing what they're doing and how can you apply that to a customer? Yeah, they might have their brand guidelines, but how can they utilize their core branding? Like you showed Adidas, that's their branding. They're very stringent, but they're using the trends to freshen it up, to come out with a new design, all because their iconic logo is their number one seller. Why not shift it to the spring, summer? And now that person that already has that Adidas shirt, now they can get a new one because it's different and fresh.
100% love that. And it used to strike me as I was really watching all of the major sports leagues, even down into minor leagues, because the minor leagues always do really creative work that the majors won't do. But the Chicago Bulls, I did a deep dive on some of their merch about 5 years ago. And it was really obvious to me that they recognize that they have different markets. There are different categories of fans, and they're trying to cater to each of those fans. And by the way, kids, fan is short for fanatic. It means you are all in. You don't just have one shirt. You probably have a closet full of shirts and headwear and signage and stickers and mugs and whatever. So that deep, deep fan is who they want to continue to nurture. And they want to be able to go back to them again and again with something fresh, something still original. And so if you're a 45-year-old who lives on the north side and you have a certain lifestyle, how you support the Chicago Bulls is completely different from somebody who's no longer in Chicago, lives in Iowa, lives out on a farm, but still loves the Chicago Bulls because that's their closest NBA team. And they're a 15-year-old boy, and you know they're still a fan. So I think it's really smart what you said. Sorry to go off on that tangent, but I can't help myself because you're always so full of creative examples. Okay, so show us something. I want to see some goodness. Can you peel back the curtain, and if you can share your screen with a couple of things and let us see some of the weirdness, the wildness, the wackiness of Jeremy Picker's brain?
Yes, it says I've been disabled. You
Hold
might
on.
have to.
I can change that in a click. How about now? Try it again.
Okay. There we go.
So this was the August-September 2020 issue.
Nice.
Oh, that was pretty fast.
There you go.
Good job. Yeah, and that one was like the first time I've written for Adrienne a couple times before that, but this was the first time that I've actually did a project for the magazine. And so again, you can see in that article, we went from concept to sketch to design to development and then to production. And we worked with Danny Gruninger formerly of Denver Print House, and me and him were working on inks. There's Crackle ink on there, there's Puff ink. We were working it through. And so it goes through that whole process of how we did it. And I've gotten a lot of good reception from that because it, like you said, it shows behind the curtain. You know, a lot of times we'll just show the final product and people don't understand how much went in there. It's not a template design. There's a lot it's very custom. So absolutely. Yeah, thanks for Adrienne for giving me that platform. It was super fun.
Thank you.
So do you see this right here?
Yes, I do. So
this is once a year we come out with a trend report. And so this will be, if you haven't at least connected with me on LinkedIn, you don't even have to do the work. You can just piggyback off of what I'm doing and what I'm sharing.
Hey, don't get carried away. Don't get carried away now, Jeremy. You put in a ton of time here. I mean, yes, people, you need to check this out. But in the world of R&D, do not rip off and duplicate Jeremy, because it wouldn't work anyway. No. It's his vibe. It's his way.
Well, in this, they can pull from, this one is a little more along the streetwear. And so, we're wanting to show, we're approaching the industry from a fashion perspective versus from a manufacturing perspective, because my team is from the fashion world. We're not manufacturers. We partner with the best. So, we're not trying to pretend, we're going to
be something you're not.
Whatever dots and stuff that Jay talks about. But, we wanted to try to take this huge industry of fashion and how can we just categorize it? And so every year we'll come out with the trending colors. Again, we're piggybacking off of big fashion brands that are coming up with these trending colors. And so we start there because the shirts that NLA, Bella, Hanes, Gildan, all the ones that they're coming out with for the season are based on those trends that have started 2 years prior. And so we start there, and we want to bring in not just apparel, but lifestyle. What is nature? How can we bring in nature and organic elements and interior design? And so we start by scouring the internet, and, we'll start different genres, and how can we not only pull styles that are trending, but how can we use it in a real life world where people are actually wearing it? They don't just wear t-shirts, they wear t-shirts, pants, hats, socks, shoes. And so that helping them see what's possible from the trends, not just this is a cool t-shirt, but how they can style it. It builds more credibility of, people in our industry. We should be the experts, not just, order takers. And so, categorize and see what Nike, see what Adidas, see what they're doing, and putting it together in a digestible way that we can just share our customers. You do it once, and then you can just share it freely with all your customers. It doesn't take much more time. And chances are, if you have employees, there's someone in your organization that would love to do this, whether it's the graphic designer or someone pulling the shirts off the press. There's someone that would probably love to help you do some of this grunt work. A lot of it, I'll outsource to virtual assistants to help me curate images or pull images from the internet, and then I start curating them based on what I'm seeing, all over print on denim and shirts. And then we're coming into some of that graffiti and splash. And so really there's a commonality across a lot of brands. It's not just, well, this is what Hurley's doing, and this is what Billabong's doing. You go into a PacSun, you're going to see 5 or 6 brands doing similar graphic styles. Yeah. And so being able to categorize them is really helpful, again, for your customer. If you're doing a direct-to-consumer brand as well, why don't you lead the charge? Now you can start showing people. I know a lot of people are selling shirts of their town or, fan t-shirts. Well, if you have your own D2C brand, now you can start experimenting and showing your customer, this is working, these design styles are trending. And now you can hit it from both sides, because you're not just using what you're seeing in trends, you're using actual data for your own brand. So,
yeah, you have a firsthand experience and real evidence and proof. And if, an application to this, like I love what you said in terms of, if you're in a local market, and we saw a lot of this in the last 9 years, where it was here for good was one of them. And the two meanings of that, here as in I'm here local, and here for good, like not just to stay, but I'm here for good causes. I'm here for a good purpose. And a lot of screen printers jumped on that, had a lot of success. And our friend Slow Coleman started that, and it spread throughout the country. But to your point, having the evidence, if you did something, if you're all in on, Arizona, there's so many great Arizona brands. I can't, everywhere I go, I see, these brands that are just promoting Arizona. That's it, period. It's just like, there are 7 million people in the great state of Arizona. I'm bound to be able to sell a few of them something hot if I had a great design on a great substrate.
For sure. And this, just as an example, can you see my cursor?
Yeah, I can.
So this is just, we pulled from a runway from a major fashion brand. Well, now what do we offer in our industry that would fall in line with this trend? So you can, I don't know if you can zoom in, but we have the AS Color Charcoal Anorak. We have the Bayside Lime Green long sleeve, the Champion Concrete long sleeve, the Independent Trading Company joggers. And so we're able to now take what people are seeing in their day-to-day lives, and we're saying now we can help you make that whole outfit for the most part, other than shoes. Well, not really. You can now make shoes.
Yeah, we will definitely be making more custom shoes, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it just shows them that what's possible with what you're seeing from the trends. Again, it's a whole outfit, and even if you're not, printing joggers right now, you should probably figure it out, because people are wearing that, that dry fit long sleeve with something. Why not help your customers offer them joggers as well? And then you can go into socks, and the promo space is a whole nother vibe. But again, peachy for the females. And then we kind of come in and like, what are some decoration techniques that we can pull from it? We have puff ink, we have a gel ink smiley face. Those are things that we can do as distributors or manufacturers, that if they just give us a design, what is a way that we can elevate that design with what you're doing in-house? Obviously, I talked about networking, but puff ink, if you're screen printing, you can do a full color image and then maybe add a puff hit on the sleeve, and finding out what's in that retail setting, I think would be really valuable to your customer. Again, not that they're all going to take it. It just helps secure you as an expert, that you're on the pulse, you know what you're doing, and they can more trust you. If your website looks like 1998, how much trust is that building? Like, wow, these people are crusty and they're not current.
Zero trust. Let's just be honest. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
I love this. I think that you've done a fabulous job. If that's something that was a project that, let's say, had 100 man hours or woman hours, however long it took you to do that, I wouldn't be surprised if you had 100 hours into that. But you know what I know is the credibility factor. I mean, you can walk into any presentation, small or large, any client, small or large, any style of business, church, restaurant, organization, fundraiser, you're prepared. You've got like literally everything in front of you that says just what you said, Jeremy, is I'm the subject matter expert. And though in my shop, I may not be screen printing right now, I should still know about it. And I should still collaborate and have a partnership, because I can introduce you to hundreds of screen printers who wish they would have purchased a DTG printer and didn't for whatever reason, who are looking for DTG printers. And that collaboration can be a strong business building point. But also, let me say this, play to the strengths of your apparel decoration technique. So if all you have is a DTG printer, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fabulous in every way. We love you at Equipment Zone. Then experiment with that, a different location, a different treatment. Can you get texture out of this? Can I do more than just left chest logo? That's a snoozer. Been doing that for what? I don't know, my whole life. So that's over 50 years for those of you who kept at home. Let's do something original. That's what I love about your mood board and that whole design presentation you just gave us, is you were able to show the future by working it backwards from what was happening at a fashion, fashion show in Milan somewhere, who knows where, and then say, how could we make this work in our world? And how can I make it work through DTG or dye sub or whatever it is that your specialty treatment is? Powerful stuff, brother. I love that. Thank you for sharing all of that. It was really, really good. I know everybody's like, whoa, that was so cool. Good chats going on right now. Adrienne, what was your take on that? I know you've seen it before, and I know you've seen Jeremy do this. What do you think?
Jeremy and I have really only chatted on the phone. I've seen, obviously the mood board for the article he wrote, but I want to dig in and spend hours in what he just showed. I was like hoping that you wouldn't scroll so fast, because I was stuck on every slide. No, I think it's fantastic. The credibility is there. Obviously, the work is put in, and from that, you can build from so many things, because somebody is going to interpret that differently than another person. So you show that to a client, they're going to come up with something that you may not have even thought of. And so that's just the starting point. And the starting point took a while to get there too. So very cool.
Good stuff. So Jeremy, let's talk bottom line for a second. Does that help you win contracts? Does that help you because of the credibility, because of the subject matter expertise? Are you closing deals because of it?
For some, and I think part of it is I'm not coming in just with my opinion or my sales pitch, even though I'm not that type of guy. It shows I'm going with the marketplace. I'm not making these decisions. I'm just curating it. And so even if you, the buyer, don't necessarily like that style, you need to be aware, because for me, I'm not here to just serve my customer. I'm here to serve their customer as well. So at the end of the day, I have two customers, my main customer and my customer's customer, because they're the ones that are going to be buying it, wearing it, taking it out into a social setting. So I want to appease my customer, which is, on time, on budget, to promote their brand, but the end customer doesn't care about any of that. They want to look good, feel good, and get compliments wearing that garment. So the trying to align the goals of my customer than their customer, sometimes, it takes time to show them that even if you're corporate, even if you're not if you're an accounting firm, you can still have fun with merchandise. Apparel's meant to be worn, and people they treat it like a business card. It's meant to be worn.
It's so smart. So smart.
You don't need to buy apparel then. Go do something else. Put your money in some other market. But if you're doing apparel, it's in your best interest to help your customer do it right. Otherwise, the sustainability aspect of that shirt going straight to Goodwill or to the landfill, think about all those resources that go into that shirt. And so the better we become at helping people make better products, the longer that shelf life is. And, we're combating fast fashion in a way, even though some people's business models is built around that, we want to bring value. We don't want to come back and say, I was stuck with that inventory, or I don't see people wearing our shirts. What do you think it is? And, a lot of times it's because it's a crappy design because that's the first thing people see. If they don't like the design, they're not going to even get, is this a ring spun, side seamed, dropped hem t-shirt? They're not going to even get that far. So it's us as an industry. We need to show them, not let our customers always dictate that.
Yeah, take the lead. And that's what I think your mood board and that lookbook. And I've seen some of the work that you've done and posted over the last year. It's fabulous in so many ways. I also want to make sure that if there's anybody still listening, we have quite a few folks that are tuned into this live. If you have any comments for Jeremy or for Adrienne, feel free. We're kind of running up against, we're at that point where I like to take a few questions if there are any specific. Let's be sure to go ahead and type those in the chat or in the Q&A, and I'll take a quick look. That's all I see. I'm just checking the chat here for a second.
And while you're looking, Jay, if I can just touch on one thing that we didn't really go into.
Yeah, please do.
Is what can you do if you're just DTG? What can you do with your current equipment that can be in line with those trends? And Adrienne talked about it in the last one of heat pressed labels, heat transfers, heat transfer appliques. I just wanted to show one thing real quick while you're looking. Is there's this brand called 304 Custom, and they're basically utilizing DTG heat transfers and appliques to make a full custom garment for their audience. Now, they're a direct-to-consumer brand, but what can you take from them that you can help with your customers? If your customers are running a program and they have a web store of 20 products, what are some ways to up that ante of, it's not just a DTG now, let's have something that has a higher perceived value, they can charge more, and have something super creative. So this company, pick your item, pick your logos, and then pick your placement. And then they do it for you on demand. So this is a great example with their logo library. Here's a chenille patch that is heat transfer. Here's
Super
an edged
cool.
felt. Here's chain stitch embroidery. Here's a satin patch. And so how can you make this retail ready garment, even if you're just doing DTG, which typically it's screen print on a shirt and maybe some finishing like a hang tag or a bag, but that now they can look like even more of a brand by having woven labels, by having appliques, by doing heat press on hats. And so you already have that equipment deeper with your customer. Now you have them secured. You come in with this little catalog, and you can, I know Stalls, Lion Brothers, F&M Expressions, they all can do those heat transfers. And now you have this little catalog to say, hey, now you can have this elevated hoodie or option to have your little label on the inside of every shirt.
Yeah,
so anyways,
I
like to see, and again, it goes to what are the trends? What can I pull from retail to adapt to my customer? Again, you might not have the time to get deep into it, even on a high level, just knowing that you have a factory that can send you heat transfers. How can you make that cool for your customer?
100% love that, especially because everyone who has a DTG printer, almost for sure, like 99% for sure, also have a heat press. So how can they use the tool they already have? They don't even need to invest in a new tool. And transfers are very affordable, and they do have lots of different styles and different approaches and appliques and thicknesses and textures and graphics. So it's a great complement to DTG for sure. I'm always about the DTG plus. Yeah. DTG and something. How else can you do it? We have some clients that are experimenting with new things. They're doing DTG on thicker materials like 100% canvas or denim, and then they're using that as the base for patches. So there's lots of ways to kind of look at this through the creative lens. Don't get stuck in the rut. And Janice, thank you. I was going to bring this up, and I wasn't sure if we have a few clients that are experimenting with the inks, and they're being able to put on foils now. They're able to use texture settings so that the print actually has a texture in it, and by design on purpose. And so it's a process, and it's not easy. It's not something you're going to do every day, but being prepared, being flexible, a key word you said earlier, and showing somebody the possibilities, so that they can just fall in love. And it's more than just a shirt. It's more than just a tote bag. It's your message. It's a tactical approach to a memory. I want them to remember my brand. So rather than crappy designs, I want them to remember my brand for brilliance, for fun, for engagement, and for a cause, hopefully purposeful marketing, purposeful branding. So anyway, we could talk for hours. We don't have that time. I respect you guys so much for contributing the data, the ideas, the concepts, sharing. It's fun. It's important for our audience too. So thank you so much, everybody who's tuned in from all over. We had folks from Mexico. You never know. Folks from looked like somebody from Sweden was here. So it's a thrill. I'm going to end on this, if hopefully I can share my screen one more time, just so that we can get back to a point I want to make, which is where can people go to get more info from Equipment Zone? So they probably know the drill by now, but to be fair, current slide. Please, we have a Facebook group. It's private. We're open, but if you don't have to be a client of ours. You could have purchased a printer from somebody else. It doesn't have to be an Epson printer, but that's the point of the group. So please check out Facebook. We have a lot of really power users that are constantly helping and supporting and cheerleading. Jeremy, you can see some of the shoes we've done. So yes, you can customize some Converse. And then in addition to that, we're also very interested in you subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have wonderful content there. We have great guest speakers like Jeremy and Adrienne, who have shared with us today wonderful insights. And so subscribe and hit that little bell. That's just the notification bell. So anytime we publish or deliver any new videos, you get an update and a little notification. We love our YouTube fans. And then if you are interested in more specific information about DTG printing, and by the way, a lot of folks don't know this, but you can go to our website and put in a tech ticket. If you have a concern and you didn't buy your printer from us, we're still very happy to help you. So please don't let that be the problem. Contact us. We have the biggest tech department in the US. We have trained folks that are constantly printing shirts for friends and themselves and experimenting. They know the machines. We're not just going to sell it, fire and forget. We're here for the long haul. So a couple of our aces, Terry Combs, Jeff Morgenthaler, and Amy Krulowitz, those are our 3 main sales reps that are interested in DTG and die subs. So if you have questions, you can reach out and email those folks. So that's it. That's my commercial. Back to you 3, you 2, the 3 of us. I don't know where I am. I'm just excited to go do some mood boarding. It's so much fun. And I'm going to give Adrienne another chance to say anything that you want to say. How can people find you? Where can they subscribe to that wonderful screen printing magazine?
Yeah, thanks. Everyone can subscribe to the free digital edition of Screen Printing Magazine and our weekly newsletters. And you can just go to the brand new screen printing website, which is screenprintingmag.com, and hit the subscribe button. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at Twitter, Adrienne_screen. You can find us on Instagram, Screen Print Mag, all the social channels. Or you can email me at Adrienne.Palmer@SmartWork Media. So however you want to contact me.
And you can always reach me and I'll put you in touch with both of them. Absolutely. For sure. Jeremy, what about you? Where can people connect with you and find out more? And hopefully they won't stalk you, but I think you've just found a whole bunch of fans.
Well, I actually do get stalked. I get these direct messages on LinkedIn saying, Jay told me to look at your profile and we're doing some coaching. And so, which is good because it makes me reply because there's so much spam on LinkedIn, but I'm most active on LinkedIn. I try to share informational posts. I thought my audience would be the end consumer, but it's really turning into people within our industry or gravitating towards it. So I've kind of run with it, and it hasn't like built my business, but it helps me get out of my head, which benefits my customers. But my goal in life is to help people make better t-shirts. So if I can help you, if I can help people in our industry, help their customers make better t-shirts, then I'm super happy. And so Twitter, Instagram, at JW Picker, and I'll be launching my personal website soon that will have blogs and more trend reports, and for sale, some of them just, again, I could do the work and you can piggyback off of that. But yeah, I'm
Very
always
cool.
talking about apparel design and decoration.
You kind of have that as more than just a hobby. It's kind of a passion. I don't know if you know this, Jeremy, but we can tell. It's evident. Yeah, it shows. Well, thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Wait, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, after this, I have to do some invoicing and.
Oh yeah, I got to get back to the real work. I do too. I have 3 people waiting for me outside this door. We have a printer to unpack.
Boring.
I know but it's important too. And so
sure,
we're grateful for Equipment Zone to be able to host this and all of our wonderful staff. And we're so thankful for both of you. Thanks again. I can't help but gush. You'll have to forgive me. But now that we've done this, I'm excited to see all of our fans that are going to watch this on YouTube as well. So one more time, thanks again. Until next time, until we get a chance to see each other in person and have tacos, take care, everybody. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thanks, Adrienne.
Bye, Jeremy. Bye, Jay.